Today, in our review, we have with us eminent lawyer, parliamentarian, and former Union Minister, Mr. Kapil Sibal. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
To start with, today we got a verdict from Ahmedabad court, and you have tweeted the failure of the prosecution. The Supreme Court formed an SIT to look into this case, and the trial happened after 21 years, and the judgment was so disappointing. How will you react to this?
You know, I never expected any better, quite frankly. The way in which the SIT has been conducting investigation in other matters after Supreme Court. And you know, the nature of that investigation, the less said about it, the better. 67 accused, 11 people died, one girl, 12-year-old, and witness after witness, I am told, refused to recognize those who have committed in the course of the trial, committed the murder in the course of the trial. If this is the nature of our investigation and the attitude of our investigating agencies, and the court is a mute spectator to all this, then God save this country. That's all that I can say. In fact, I had never expected that the SIT want to go after these people, because, and you will see, and I can tell you this, that they're not even going to file an appeal. Ultimately, it's the victims and those who are the relatives of the victims who will ultimately go up and file an appeal. Because the intent of the SIT is to help the accused.
SIT was formed under former CB Director R.K. Raghavan, and he was being appointed as an ambassador.
Yes, I was aware of it. That's all right. I mean, if judges can be appointed in Parliament and as governors immediately after retirement, then what's wrong in the SIT? Everyone being appointed as ambassador. The point is not that. You see, every man has a conscience, right? And he knows that what he's doing is inconsistent with his conscience. And the investigating processes in this country have no conscience.
2 days before, in the Supreme Court, Bilkis Baro case has been considered by the court, and the state government and central government didn't give their reply to the Supreme Court's or summons.
It's a national shame that you have people who are convicted for life, who are given furlough while they are convicted, who violate the conditions of that furlough, who have not even completed 14 years, and whose release is celebrated. That gruesome murder and the nature of that crime should have ensured that they are there for life. But unfortunately, those who are released, somebody made a statement today about a lady who had been convicted today, and who had been released today, saying that now she can become a minister, now she can fight elections. This is the level of our political responses to heinous crimes alleged to have been committed. And I think the political process is losing. Political process as well as the investigating process is losing its relevance in the eyes of the public. This is a tamasha.
But the judicial system, we are every time we speak about the judicial system, that is the only place we can approach for the for the rights of the people. All those things have been speaking about all those things for the last.
Zakia Jafri, see what happened in that matter. Anyway, the lesser the better. The worry is that the court is looking at this and doing nothing about it. You see, either this whole prosecution of Mamata Gam was fabricated. Actually, there was no evidence. The 86 accused, of course, many of them matters abated. So either the 86 accused, all of them were innocent. Okay. Or, and if that is so, then the persons who falsely implicated
All these people.
must be prosecuted. Right? Or it is true and they are being saved, then somebody else should be prosecuted. Somebody should be prosecuted. How can the system expense itself in this fashion that 11 people died, that there was nobody there who killed them? Or if there was somebody there, nobody recognized who killed them. Then why have a trial, why have a prosecution? And why take 21 years? So these are very serious issues.
Regarding the cases related to the Gujarat genocide, the cases has been sabotaged in the early days also. Trials, persons who are about to give statements have been.
No, in this particular case, one alleged Babu Bajrangi, was of course has been convicted in another case.
Another Patia case.
Another Patia case. His statements are on record. I mean, they are part of. I think, the folklore of violence in this country. That's what it will be. Which is celebrated. The tariff citizens in this country have no value. Their lives have no value because they happen to belong to a particular community, or even otherwise, the way in which the train was burnt. It's the same thing that people, whether you are a Hindu or a Muslim, if you are treated like this, that means that people don't have no value for life. And how can any system tolerate that?
But our system is tolerating all these things. Our executive, our judiciary, all the systems of the democracy is tolerating all these things. That is what is we
know whether it's a journalist from Kerala who was inside for so many years.
Yeah, Siddiq Kapil.
For whom I also fought.
Yeah.
Or it's any ordinary citizen, in his family, somebody's been raped, done its family, and we've seen all these things. No redressal. And then the sad part of it is, you celebrate the release of the alleged accused. But then that means you shout Jai Shri Ram, or you sort of distribute sweets. I don't want to take extreme words like genocide or anything. Any judicial process must give confidence to people at the end of it. And if processes of the law don't give confidence to the people at the end of it, people will lose faith in the law and the process. That is far more worrying.
But this has to be retrieved, isn't it?
I don't know who's going to retrieve it. You see, if you have 3 young boys, so Atiq Ahmed may be a gangster, he may be anybody. If you have 3 young boys who come from different parts of the country, who don't know each other, who land up at the same place, have weapons which they could not have afforded, over 7 lakhs, and are aware that Atiq and his brother is going to walk at that point in time towards the hospital, have prior information of it, and then shoot while the security personnel are around. And the security personnel don't take off their pistols. When 7-8 shots were fired, don't take off their pistols to do anything. When they surrender, then they shout Jai Shri Ram. What does it tell you about my country? What does it tell you? And then, even worse, they are not taken into police custody. They are taken into judicial custody. What does it tell you?
Sir, speaking about the incident that happened in UP last week,
Yes.
and it is being propagated that the law and order situation in UP has been improved during the last 5 to 6 years.
That's the political message. That's the political message, that if there are people who are known to be gangsters, then it is better to shoot them, because then these gangsters will not be able to spread fear within the state, and therefore the law and order situation is improved. That's the logic. That's the political logic. So therefore, it is celebrated, not realizing that this can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Today it's me, tomorrow it will be you. Never happen.
Yesterday it is Siddiq Ahmed, tomorrow it's me.
It could be me. Anybody who speaks a particular language, it doesn't use a particular idiom, which the majoritarian culture wants to be used. This is a problem. So
North land has to be protected, and the constitutional values should be followed. These are the ethos which is.
but who speaks about it? Who speaks about it? Who speaks about these things? I mean, the kind of hate speeches that are going on. There are people who own television channels. They are part of the hate culture of this country in the context of what they say publicly. We brought this to the notice of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has expressed its despair and publicly reprimanded this culture of hate. But nothing is done. The police drags its feet, the investigating agencies drag their feet, and these people have the courage to abuse the judge. He happens to be a judge of the Supreme Court. Right? And nothing is done. What do you do about it? I mean, if the courts are quiet, the investigating machinery is biased. The accused get the message that they can do what they like, and there will be no reprisal through the law.
They will be protected also.
But there will be no reprisal, so the law means only that. Right? Then you encourage them to do the same thing again and again. After all, these three kids, why did they shout Jai Shri Ram? Because they realized that gives them the confidence to do what they did. And remember this, if you really analyze all this, you will realize that the three of them belong to very ordinary families. One of them, had a brother who was drunkard, a father who was a drunkard. He died, and the mother had no means to bring those persons up. He left the home. He's not educated, so he can't get a job. So if you don't give quality education, which should be our fundamental, focus for the future of our country, you don't give education to our children, they're not skilled enough to get a job. They become vagabonds on the streets. They then take to crime, right? And then they indulge in violence. Then you protect them by not prosecuting them or saving them. Then you will have a culture of violence. And then you will say that through this culture, because you have targeted certain people, right? You have established law and order in the particular state of the country. I mean, what a mockery of our democratic system.
You have been witnessing the process of judiciary for the past 30 to 40 years, and is very seriously indulged in politics and expressing views regarding the secular state of India. And
why do you say only this? Look, forget about the judiciary. Look at the institution of the governor. What do governors are publicly saying? We first RSS and then we are governors. So they say publicly. Yeah. Look at the way the governors are collaborating.
Even our governor Mohammed Khan says like that. He is linked to RSS. fostering.
I'm not talking about anybody, any individual, but the fact of I'm talking about the institution of the governors. One, they openly express their allegiance to the culture, the majoritarian culture, number one. Number two, they help the majoritarian state to destabilize elected governments, right? The court does nothing about the level of corruption which results in toppling elected governments. I mean, everybody knows why this is happening, right? Nobody investigates any of this, right? Elected governments have fallen, and we are mute spectators. So either threaten people through the Enforcement Directorate or the CBI, have every opposition leader be it. If you can't do that, you topple elected governments through means which are known to everybody. So you've toppled Madhya Pradesh, you've toppled Karnataka, you've toppled Uttarakhand, you've toppled Manipur, right? You've toppled Goa, not really, but anyway, you used Goa. Minority took, I mean, the political party got almost sold over. You toppled Maharashtra. Like this, you topple state after state, where there's an elected government. In which democratic country does this ever happen?
That is what I'm asking about. How far does we go?
It will go till the level of tolerance. Ultimately, there will be a break.
Ultimately, there will be break.
There will be a break. And then something unfortunate.
You spoke about the Enforcement Directorate and CBI and IT department. All those departments, even customs, all those agencies are being used to target the political opponents of the BJP or RSS. And nobody can even resist the move.
How do you resist? See, how do you resist all this? You can only resist all this through a judicial process which takes into account the manner in which this is being done, right? Now, it's very difficult for the judiciary also to do anything. What do they do? So, see, the state can only function if the pillars of the state act to ensure that they discharge their responsibilities as envisaged under our constitution. So if the Election Commission, for example, does the bidding of the government, then what happens to an electoral process? If the investigating agencies act in tandem with the directions of the state, then what happens to the investigating agencies? Right? If governors are agents of the government of the center, right, then what happens to that institution? If vice chancellors, right, propagate values which are antithetical to a multicultural society, and if books are changed, if history is altered or effaced, I'm not saying that what happened in the past was right. Maybe it needs correction. But you can't efface history. If you can't target a family, right? You can't tell the people of this country that whatever happened, nothing happened in 2014. You can't use the judicial process or the process of the law to declare a particular member of parliament as disqualified on some specious plea of defamation, right? And the judge gives the maximum sentence of 2 years just to ensure that he doesn't remember a member of parliament. I mean, how does anybody do that? The judge knows what he is doing. The person who files the case in Surat knows what he is doing for a speech that was delivered in Karnataka, right? And so the whole system, it seems all, managed. I don't say the judge is managed, but the way in which the judge pronounces the order, it gives the maximum punishment. In a case where the condemned, those who are alleged to be defamed have not moved the court. Somebody who's not defamed moves the court, right? And he says that my community was defamed because that's a backward community. It so happened that that's not a backward community, right? So the trial court gives the maximum sentence. The appeal that was filed uphold that order. Now you go to the High Court, and it goes up to the Supreme Court and nothing happens. Then what happens? I mean, it's a farce.
You were mentioning the case of Rahul Gandhi, and there is a criticism on this case that the Congress party didn't take the case so seriously in the earlier days. They didn't question the jurisdiction of the court which handles this case, or all those things.
Why should we go into whether the case was handled properly, not handled properly? But I want to ask through you a question to those who are listening. Should this ever happen in a country? Forget about who is responsible and who is not responsible. If such cases are filed, should the court take cognizance of them at all? Should the defamation law be used in this fashion? In a defamation of this nature, should a sentence be awarded? Forget about whether I handle it or, one party handle it, didn't handle it, I don't know about it, nor do I want to comment. Well, why would the judge give a sentence of 2 years in a matter like this? I don't know. I don't understand that.
You earlier mentioned the use of the Enforcement Directorate, CBI, etc., etc., etc. And I'm taking back you to the era of UPA. There was two instances. One is Swami Asimananda's confession regarding the saffron terror, which has been used by your honorable colleague P. Chidambaram. And the second instance was the encounter case in Gujarat, in which intelligence report has been manipulated or created to conduct this fake encounters. Those two incidents were there in the UPA government. You were in power, and you can use these agencies to.
No. See, let's be clear about one thing. Power and its exercise, by nature, goes in the wrong direction. Forget about UPA or the very exercise of power results in excesses. Whichever government is in power, okay. But there's a Lakshman Rekha, right?
That you were talking in remembrance of a democratic era.
Yeah, there's a Lakshman Rekha that shouldn't be crossed. Wrongs are done in every regime. Investigating agencies would be used or could be used in every regime. I don't deny that. The investigating machinery is used on occasions. I don't deny that. But you don't have a situation where the ED prosecutes prominent people, and of the 121 persons or 25 persons who are prominent or prosecuted or investigated, 118 belong to the opposition. You just don't do that. And what happens in the process is, take for example Chidambaram's case. I'm not holding a brief for you, but take his case. Now, for how many years has this investigation gone on? Right? Now, what will happen is this trial will never happen. In the meantime, you have tried to destroy the person's reputation. Trial will never happen. Conviction, there can no question of. There was talk about he having collected assets and letters rogatory having been sent to the rest of the world to find out where his assets are. Where are those assets? How many years have gone by? So many years have gone by. Right? The trial is not in sight. It will never be in sight. So you've destroyed a man. You've destroyed his reputation. In the eyes of the public, you say he is guilty.
Yeah, that image has been created.
Which has been created. Then what are you are therefore using the process, the investigating process for what? For political ends. If you want to, you see, this is what's wrong with our legal system. There is too much power with the investigating agencies. You can arrest without evidence. Right? You can arrest for suspicion. In a murder case, you have the body. Somebody has murdered, you can make arrests. But in all these cases, All these cases, there's no hard evidence on the basis of which you go. Somebody makes an allegation, somebody makes a statement that is believed, you start investigating, then you start arresting. And ED in particular, under PMLA, the powers are so enormous that nobody is safe. You lodge an FIR in Kerala, and you can start ED can go into FIR in Karnataka, and ED can start investigating in Kerala. You know what the power?
That is what is happening in Delhi and Telangana.
Yes, also Karnataka and Chhattisgarh.
So almost all the opposition parties are being targeted. Congress, JDS, BRS, Shiv Sena, NCP, almost all the political parties who are opposing the BJP are being targeted. Their top leaders.
The sad part of it is, okay, targeted. You file cases, they're not heard. You are seeking bail, no bail is granted. Bail is not. Take, for example, the Aam Aadmi Party. These two people are inside. What are they inside for?
Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia.
Why are they inside? Bail should be granted. You want to prosecute him, by now you have the hard evidence, investigation is over. Well, you charge sheet them, you prosecute them, you bring them to book, you convict them, you send them to jail. But you're keeping them in jail for what? You don't need to investigate them any further. So the system basically no longer serves the cause of justice. They serve some other cause. That's the sad part.
In these circumstances, there should be a political movement, isn't? Is that the need of the hour?
Of course, it's the need of the hour. The opposition must unite, and we should forget our local differences. We should come on one platform. It's something that I tried to launch the other day called 𝐸𝐴𝐸 𝐸. That is the soldiers for justice. Every community should have a soldier for justice who must stand up in the community for the injustices that are done at the local level. And the justice should be a platform for the entire political party all political parties to unite together. It was the kind of injustice that is being done at every level. And I just don't mean politics. Look at the way the economy is. Look at the way monopolies are being created in this country. Assets are being, concentrated in the hands just of a few people. Most valuable assets of our country are the hands of a few people now. National wealth of this country is 40% of the national wealth is held by 1% of it. This is just unacceptable. There's no social injustice that is going on. Every other day, a Dalit is, if there's a prosecution to a Dalit has complained, his house is burnt. Right? So what do we do?
Wasn't it happened in Unnao?
That's right. That's right. Now there are so many instances. What do we do? Encounters take place. What is an encounter? How do you encounter your own people? I can understand a terrorist crossing the border, trying to kill innocent people in Kashmir. The police killing the terrorist. Why? Because it's self-defense of the community. Well, how do you encounter your own citizens? And how many encounters have taken place in Uttar Pradesh? Your own people you are encountering, a young boy of 18, for what?
But that has been proudly displayed as 5,000 encounters has been happened. And that
is the word encounter recognized under the criminal justice system? No. Encounter is when you encounter somebody which is necessary. For example, Maoists. Right? They are killing innocent people. They come and shoot at innocent people. You encounter them in the defense of those innocent people. Right? If somebody, but if somebody has committed an offense, you don't encounter him. And then the story is cooked up that he was running away and he had a pistol in his hand and he was shooting. So if he was shooting, he had a pistol in his hand, you shoot him in the leg. Catch it. Don't kill him.
And these kind of stories are in a flow from Gujarat during 2003 to 2006.
But you see,
but nothing has happened.
Sad in 1984 also. What happened in Delhi was an absolute national shame. Right? How many of those people have not been prosecuted also? So yes. So any violence of that magnitude, if you do not ensure that the legal process ultimately gives confidence to the victims of that violence, you're going to have trouble. We're going to have trouble.
So this is a seriously complicated situation. The encounters are going on, judicial process being uprooted, investigations are being uprooted, etc. are happening, and political leaders are being targeted. Inflation is going up.
Even in your state now, see the two political parties are so much at loggerheads with each other. We've seen violence happening in your state as well, right? For political purposes. That's also very sad.
But there should be political process, and that should start as early as possible for the unification of the opposition forces. Who will take the lead? That is the main question that has been discussing for the last 3 to 4 years.
Well, I think it will happen. I think that come July, August, there will be a very serious move to get people together on one platform. Let's hope it works out.
Nitish Kumar has already started some dialogue. Do you think it is a positive?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's too early to tell. It's when political parties in different states who are prominent in their own state, they come to the conclusion that look, it's time for us to get together. The problem is that the smaller parties want to spread to other states, right? And they cut the votes of the dominant party in that state. And this also results in that party losing. I think political parties should actually take a call. Today the important thing is to stand together in opposition to a particular regime. If we don't do that, in 2024, the result is written on the wall.
But during the era of 𝐑𝐢𝐬𝐚 𝐔𝐩𝐝𝐚 and Sonia Gandhi, that leaders...
History doesn't repeat itself like that. See, the situation is different, the culture is different, the era is different, the personalities are different. The need of the hour throws up in certain circumstances an individual who can bring people together. But in other circumstances, it doesn't happen. And now you have the Home Minister telling us that they will get over 300 seats in 2024, as if he knows by now that what will happen in May 2024. So, this happened even earlier in 2019 and in 2014, 6-8 months in advance. They told the exact number of seats that they were going to get, and they got those seats. That tells you something that also is a matter of worry. So let's see. Let's hope for the best.
When we consider the different, as you said, the smaller parties or regional parties, when we count the states and the strength of these regional parties, if there is a formation of an alliance of opposition parties, it will be easier to defeat this BJP.
Well, I don't know. I think it requires a strategy at the local level, in the sense that if it's say West Bengal, then Mamata, which is the dominant force, should be allowed, and you should collaborate with her, even if you belong to the Congress or
for the CPM.
Or the CPM. If it is Congress in Rajasthan, then others should collaborate there. If it is Delhi, then we should collaborate with our
Aam Aadmi Party.
Right? And if it's Maharashtra, you should collaborate with the 3 opposition parties. They should collaborate with each other. If it's Madhya Pradesh,
understood strictly.
The dominant party we should all collaborate with that particular party and put up a united front. Well, let's hope that happens, but that's the only way it can move forward.
Coming to Uttar Pradesh, Samajwadi Party put up a great fight during the last assembly elections, but
there it's a little more complicated. You see, Uttar Pradesh is most complicated. You have Mayawati, and you have the Samajwadi Party, and you have the other
RLDs,
the RLD, and the perception is that some of them collaborate with the powers that be. That's the perception, right or wrong. And the caste issues are deeply, deeply ingrained amongst the public in Uttar Pradesh. So I don't know how that will turn out in terms of opposition getting together. It's a bit tough. Uttar Pradesh is such a big state that you have to have strategies for different parts of the state as well. But some are dominant in certain parts of the state, others are dominant in other parts of the state. So Congress also is a factor in that it can bring some value to the dominant partners. So all that, I think, will ultimately have to be worked.
During the last assembly elections, there is a feel that the farmers' protest and the joint behaviors of the Jat and the Muslim community, this will help the...
It never helped. It never helped. It never helped. It didn't turn out that way. Anyway, let's see. Okay.
My last question and last to the interview, last part of the interview. What do you think after the Jodo Yatra? Congress is a little bit rejuvenated, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you see, all this, if it translates into an electoral benefit, I have no idea about that. To the extent that he did the Yatra, I think it has done his personal image a great deal of good. But whether it will turn out to be a great electoral benefit to the Congress party, I don't know. Only time will tell. But I think, yes, as a Yatra, it was successful. A lot of people came out, supported the Yatra, which is a good thing. But whether that by itself is enough, I don't know. That's something that time will tell.
Is it painful to you, the decision to break with Congress?
Well, I'm a congressman even now. What is Congress? It's a thought. It's a process of how we view the state. Right? Congress was an umbrella under which everybody thrived. Right? It is that inclusive concept of that ideology which makes a congressman. So many of us who are in different parties are in our thought process as congressmen. So we oppose those who don't believe in an inclusive culture, right? And if we oppose that, I think that ideologically we're congressmen. Whether I'm in the party or I'm not in the party, it doesn't matter.
So do you think the new president Mallikarjun Kharge, after his appointment as president, the things has been changing in Congress?
Well, I hope it is, but I'm not in the Congress, so I can't comment. I hope they are changing. And all the best to him.
You have relations cutting across parties, regional parties. You have relations with Samajwadi Party. You have friends in Congress. You have friends in CPM. You have friends in CPA.
Yes.
Almost all party. You have relations with all these leaders.
True.
Leaders like you should take a lead to form a joint front. Is that your...
No, I do my little bit. I don't consider myself that important, but I'll certainly try and help the process in my own little way.
But it is a crucial period.
It is, and I think I have a duty to be able to help that unity of the opposition parties take place, and I shall do what I can.
There should emerge a political change, isn't it?
There should. I hope it happens, and it happens very soon.
Okay, sir. Thank you.